Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks at Engani Titan. Once again we're here on Heilbronn, and I'm in the T-54E1. Tier 9 American tank with the autoloader that leads on to the T-57 Heavy. I'm well past the halfway mark, I think. I'm over 120,000 XP, I think, accumulated on this tank. And the crew, I think, is also past the halfway mark, or close to the halfway mark for the current skill, which is reconnaissance, I think. All of that are reasonably skilled crew. They have 6 or 7 skills already. Now I'm going to head north into the hills here. Originally I was hoping that I'd get support, or at least I'd have a look. It's not the best tank for scouting, but I have Sixth Sense, and I do have the view range at least extended as far or slightly beyond the detection range, which means that I have a reasonable chance of spotting people roughly the same time as they'll spot me. So it's a lot less common at this point between Sixth Sense and the view range that I get shot at and don't see who shot at me, which at least is valuable information. The worst situation in the game is when you're being shot at and you have no idea where the shots are coming from or who you're being shot at by. You can't detect them and spot them for your team, so you're taking damage to no purpose whatsoever. I've come around the ridge here and nothing has happened. Sixth Sense hasn't gone off. There doesn't seem to be tanks heading my way. However, I'm very reluctant to push very much further because I really have no support. In theory, I think that heavy tank on the hill behind me could probably see where I am, but his chances of hitting anything down here would be minimal. However, for the moment I am actually providing a useful scout from this location. We have identified tanks heading into the town, and we know there's quite a few tanks heading up along the 08 line. And so far I haven't spotted anything, or Sixth Sense hasn't gone off, so there aren't really any light tanks in the game, so I think there's a reasonable chance there's nobody around. Now I am taking a big risk in the sense that if I find myself too close to enemy tanks, I am going to be in serious trouble, simply because I'm completely isolated at this stage from any allies. Now as a bad chat pops out, he's very badly wounded. We track him and manage to finish him off, and then I go low because I have been spotted. If there's anybody that has a line of sight on me now's the time that they get to put the shots into me. So if I go low, I better chance of getting out of any line of sight of anybody around me. We managed to get into cover without taking fire from anyone, so that confirms my belief that there really isn't anybody around this area. So we wait for the reload. I'm no longer spotted, so I can take my time. And I'm going to peek around the corner here and see if I can see anyone. We know there are tanks down there, so I should be able to get a shot, for instance, on that medium tank on the crest, on the ridge at the back there, and possibly spot a few other tanks maybe for my allies that are in front of them. So the tank on the ridge is Centurion 7-1. We missed the first shot. We put one in. We put a second one in. We put a third one in, and nobody has shot at me. So it's probably just those two, or at least those two that were in an immediate position to shoot me. And neither of them reacted to me putting out fire. So I think I can get away with this a second time. Just as long as I don't pop up precisely the right location. That the worst is that the Centurion might be pointing his gun at my direction. But I came up and I'm not shot at immediately. The Centurion is still facing the other way. Now I put a round in his direction and managed to track him, but he has a repair kit, and I missed all subsequent shots because I'm a little rushed because of the AMX AC-48 behind him. Centurion shooting at me would be one thing because they have relatively slow rates of fire, but the added in of a second tank and I would be in serious trouble. So I back up again to lose the spot, and at this point I'm actually very concerned about that tank that has managed to slip past our line. if he's in good shape, I would be very concerned that he would be able to deal with the tanks at the corner, because most of our tanks cannot have a decent line of sight on him. And if he deals with the tanks, and they're also under fire from the ridge lines behind, to the north of them, so they're kind of pinned down, and if he gets past, he could put cap pressure on, and if he kills those two heavy tanks, we would be in serious trouble. However, when I got close enough and was in a position to sort of see what his health was, I realised that the threat wasn't as bad as I feared, and he's been taken out anyway, so I can return now to where I was. And the thing is, I've been gone long enough now that they may very well have forgotten that I was there, so to speak, because they still have targets in front of them. And people tend to engage with what's in front of them rather than hypotheticals. So here we have the FE215B, and he has not moved or changed his position or attitude since I saw him last. So we put a couple of rounds into him. He only hits our tracks and doesn't do any kind of serious damage. So I pull back because now I need to do the reload, and I'm going to kind of relocate completely because I have a feeling that FE215B is going to be somewhat annoyed with me, and he's going to probably relocate those to face me, or maybe even come after me. And I have allies coming up from the town. So I circle around here and I spot the AMX AC-48, and I don't get a shot into him before he's managed to turn. But I only get 2 rounds into him because I'd forgotten that I had only 2 rounds remaining on that clip because of the 2 shots I used earlier on the bat shot. Now I continue my forward momentum, my forward motion, because there is a tank destroyer coming up to support, and if the FE215B pops out, he'll have 2 tanks to deal with. Now that the tank destroyer is coming up, I want to keep the FE215B's attention on me because I'm probably in better shape than that tank destroyer. And even though I haven't reloaded, I can take the hit. So the FE215B fires on me again, and I'm now fully loaded, so I'm going to take the opportunity to try and snipe his commander's hatch. Difficult enough target, but I managed to get a round in. I've bounced 2 rounds off of it, but he's fired again, and now he turns the turret, so I get another round in, an easy shot into the side of the turret. So now I have to wait for the reload again. That's the big thing with these autoloaders. You need to be careful about where you are and how you position yourself. But I have the tank destroyer in front of me, and I have tanks behind me and to my north as well. So I'm going to come around this side. I know there's a single tank destroyer left, and I was half expecting it to be the AMX AC-48, but obviously... And there's a tank destroyer turns up at the edge of the cap circle, so I thought that might be him. But I was still concerned about a tank destroyer turning up. So the artillery has been spotted in front of me by me, but not in time, or not with enough open ground to allow me to get a decent shot in. So I thought, right, he's running for cover. If the artillery's running for cover, there's a good chance that I'll be able to get around here and get a shot of that tank destroyer. But as I come around, I get spotted. 6th sense goes off, and when I turn, the artillery is a clear line of sight on me. Now, fortunately for me, they were more concerned about me shooting them than they were about taking the opportunity to shoot at me. Which is very fortunate, because I hadn't the gun elevation to shoot at them. I couldn't have shot at them. So I go low, and the tank destroyer appears, and I was very, very lucky here. This is a Waffenträger OV-100. I think he's got a 5-shot clip, or maybe a 6-shot clip, but he only looks like he had 2 shots in the clip. So I was quite fortunate to survive that and get most of my clip back into him. But by the time I've reloaded, the game's over and everybody else has wiped out the enemy team. The final score then, it turns up, we gain our victory, and I was quite surprised actually. Did over 5k damage, got an ace tanker and a high caliber. Almost did 1,000 assisted damage as well. So, I was really surprised actually by the ace tanker game. I didn't kind of expect that one. We came first by experience, and we did the most damage in our team. That Waffenträger actually did more damage, but he must have bounce a shot off an ally or something, because he didn't qualify obviously for the high caliber. So overall, I think that was very satisfying. It's good to get an ace tanker before you finish with a tank. So thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed that video. If you do, please consider giving the video a like and giving the channel a subscription, and I'll catch you all again soon.